So I'll be honest with you, ever since I was little, I've kind of been receiving proofs that God can work through impossible things. However, when I was younger, you don't quite understand it that way. You don't see it that way. You don't see that, God is doing something or he's going to make the impossible possible. As a young girl, coming from a family of 11 children, we were not always in the best of circumstances. We've lived in the projects, we've lived numerous places that weren't very nice. There was a time where several of my siblings and I lived in a shelter because our parents couldn't take care of us. In that shelter, there were several of us who were abused numerous ways, and it just wasn't a good situation. So as an adult, I'll fast forward a little bit, as an adult, I can address that was something traumatic in my life. As a kid to an adult, you kind of push those things back. You kind of don't really want to think about it anymore because number one, it's embarrassing. You do not want people to know that you've been through that. Number two, you're already not one of the cool kids or in the in crowd, so you don't want to give people further ammunition to kind of say things or insult you or bring you down. However, when you start having issues with things triggering you, you are forced to go back, dig deep, and say, why am I this way? Why do I respond to things the way I respond to them? Why do I act the way I act? Being a child, living in those shelters, living in situations that weren't great, those were reasons why, as a young adult, as an adult, certain things were done the way that they were done. As an adult, seeing death in my family, there were numerous times, honestly speaking, where I questioned God. There were numerous times where things weren't working in our favor, and we're thinking, oh, our family's cursed. Is there, God, where are you? Something specific to that is my father's death. When my father passed, we actually saw him on a video. He was living in a different state. We actually saw him on a video. And as the first responders are trying to revive him, we're watching our father lay on the floor. And he's got all of these things hooked up to him. And me and my sister on the phone were praying and doing all the things, and they couldn't revive him. In those moments, we were very upset with God. But we have to understand God doesn't work that way. He's not going to immediately, answer your prayers and say, this is what you want right now. All of that said, I feel like every situation that I've been through in my life prepared me for who I am today. I'm able to speak to people and inspire them now. I'm able to not be ashamed of so many things that I've been through in my life. I'm able to be honest with my husband about not feeling the best today. I'm able to show my son a life different than what I had as a child. And it comes from acknowledging that you made it through those situations. I could sit here all day and say, oh, have sympathy for me because of this. Have sympathy. No. I'm standing here and I'm happy that God has showed me so many storms because I made it out each time. Me, my siblings, my husband, my son, we're able to look at things totally different than I used to be able to. And again, there's so many things I could touch on. There's so many things I can say, but specifically childhood trauma and seeing death in my family have really, really changed how I see the world and how I see God.